It has been known for quite some time now that the United States government is actively preparing for civil unrest, civil riots, and to initiate some form of, quote, martial law. Now, they won't call it martial law when it is officially declared, but it will be some sort of, quote, civil peacekeeping force. In fact, the Pentagon has openly admitted to preparing and readying for mass civil unrest. The Department of Defense is also working with the Minerva Research Institute and has partnered with them all the way back to 2008. The purpose? Well, to improve the Department of Defense basic understanding of the social, cultural, behavioral, and political forces that shape regions of the world of strategic importance in the United States of America. The study further outlines that the Pentagon has been reviewing some of the past behavior of economic crises and what it is that is the, quote, critical mass tipping point of social unrest. But that's not all. The government has also purchased 1.6 billion rounds of ammo for Homeland Security. Not only them, but the U.S. Postal Service also joined in on the action and purchased ammo as well. What does the post office need ammo for? Well, the answer is not really being shared with the public, but my guess is they are preparing for civil unrest. Not only is our government preparing with ammo, but they are also stockpiling food in anticipation of a major economic crisis. Not to mention the fact that the government is continually allowing our local police departments to have the spoils of war, stocking up on equipment and things like night vision goggles, MRAPs, and weaponry. A report titled Unconventional Operational Concept and the Homeland Report was prepared as part of the Defense Science Board in the summer of 2007, and it's a study on the challenges of military operations in support of national interest. This study particularly delves into the possibility of a catastrophe or, quote, economic crisis here at home if our military is deployed abroad, and who would take the place. If this happens and our military is deployed, then the DoD will be called upon to act here in America. On page 3 of this report, it specifically mentions that the battlefield may no longer be limited to regions afar, but it may include the Homeland Security, hinting at some sort of civil unrest. The report further goes on to say on page 13 and 14 to discuss the routine interaction between civilian government agencies, military, and even local businesses, and how it specifically talks about making and forming a partnership in which information can be transmitted between one level and another in the event of some sort of crisis. Page 10 details a more aggressive posture and engagement by the DoD. Page 11 specifically talks about the Posse Comitatus Act and how they basically can override it. Page 12 further discusses that after September 11th, 2001, the nation was forced into a new level of national preparedness attack against the homeland. The Department of Homeland Security was created to take the leading role in our security. Page 36 of the report talks about the 2,200 Citizen Corp councils serving areas containing 75% of the total U.S. population and how they will be utilized. But that's not the only report put out by our government. Another one titled Civil Disturbances was also put in place. This report was released in 2014, and it is a training manual released by the Army that details preparation for full-scale riots within the U.S., during which troops can be forced to engage in, quote, lethal response to deal with unruly crowds of demonstrators. According to page 1-1 of the report, civil unrest is when a civil society or a segment of its population is in a distributed or uneasy state or turmoil. It further goes on to detail that civil unrest can be caused by ethnic hatred, a lack of authority, food shortages, a revolution, or religious-based fighting fractions. Section 1-2 states that civil unrest may range from simple, nonviolent protests that address issues to events that turn into full-scale riots. Gathering and protest may be a recognized right of any person or group, regardless of where the U.S. forces may be operating inside the United States. In other words, whether the riots are violent or non-violent, the DoD can be called on to act. On page 2-9 of the report, and probably one of the most critical aspects, it describes the use of lethal force against unarmed citizen as well as sniper response. Pages 3-4 also gives a graphic illustration of how to inflict trauma using riot batons on citizens. So how bad are things, really? Well, just over this past weekend, Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell attempted to fast-track a, quote, war power bill that will allow the president nearly unlimited power to deploy the military anywhere in the world for any length in time, including on U.S. soil. According to Defense One, the AUMF, the bill that McConnell put forward, would not restrict the president's use of ground troops, nor have any limits related to time or geography. What that means for us, in a nutshell, is that the president can declare martial law whenever he wants with this new war power request and put ground troops on U.S. soil at will. So what are all these preparations for? Well, we all know that the economy is literally on a tipping point. In fact, according to the latest report, Michael Pinto, a financial expert, predicts that there is going to be a crash worse than 1929 and 2008 combined. But he's not the only one. Also, Harold Salente, a financial analyst, also predicts a coming calamity, economically speaking. And there are many, many, many others who are predicting the same. Could this be the reason that our government is avidly preparing for some type of civil unrest? Do they predict and foresee an economic crisis? In fact, it's not a matter of if a crisis will occur, but when a crisis will occur. And many top economists have been warning us for years. I do believe that our government knows something that we don't know, and they're harboring that information from the U.S. citizens. They are preparing for civil unrest via an economic crisis, or any other crisis for that matter. But I think one of the most pressing issues will be the economy, if not war that breaks out soon. After all, that is why they are storing food, water, ammo, gear, and amping up our local PDs. And if and when they declare martial law, again, it won't be done under the auspice of the term martial law. It'll be section by section, city by city, if and when they do, and it will be under some sort of peacekeeping force. All this to say, be ready at any moment because things could get crazy. Thanks again for tuning into my channel, Lisa Haven, and please check out my sponsor, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. He's got great products for detox and vitamins as well. Thanks again for tuning in.